So this weekend, I watched the movie The Matrix, and I think it really brings about a lot of really interesting questions based on philosophy. But I think the real question that it's asking is whether reality is real or we're just brains in jars on a shelf. Perhaps the best way to look at this realness of reality is to look at French philosopher Descartes' statement and reasoning into the quote, "I think, therefore I am." Descartes, in order to find a universal truth, refuted the existence of everything in his life, his body, his surroundings, and other people. By doing this, he found one thing to be certainly true, that he exists. By even attempting to doubt his existence, he determined that there had to be something or someone doing the doubting of his existence, confirming that he did indeed exist. Technically, however, the most that Descartes could say from this argument is that thinking is indeed going on, but there's no way to know whether thoughts need a thinker or just independently of a thinker. But if thoughts existed independently of a thinker, then where would they spawn from? Which is why we can accurately say that Descartes' "I think, therefore I am" is a good way to prove the fact that we do indeed exist and have our own conscience. And I'd say it's safe to say that the Matrix is just a little bit too far out there in the way that it presented its idea that we are all enslaved and we don't even know it. Well, if I had a friend that said the existence of a well-ordered and purposeful universe is clear evidence that God exists, and he used the design arguments and cosmological arguments to back himself up, I'd say that I'd easily be able to refute his argument that God exists. First of all, it's important to understand the arguments he's trying to use to prove God's existence. Firstly, the cosmological argument. It states that God was the first cause of the universe, because in order for something to exist, it must have a cause. Right away, we see a contradiction because God doesn't have a cause, but it states that everything has a cause. Also, this argument kind of assumes that an infinite regress, in other words, an endless cycle of cause and effect, isn't possible. However, there's no concrete proof to say that there aren't infinite regresses in our universe right now. The argument that he uses, the design argument, says that because everything on this planet is designed so intricately, there's no way it was placed here just by coincidence. For example, if we had a watch and a pebble, and we were in a field and we found a pebble, it would be pretty normal for us to find that pebble there because it's part of nature, it's small, it's simple. But if we found a watch there, we'd have to assume that it was placed there by someone, because it's so intricate, there's no way that nature could just form something like this on its own. The main refutation made against the design argument is the fact that there is scientific evidence of evolution, and the intricacy of everything on this earth is just based on survival of the fittest, which implies that creatures that are born superior are more likely to carry their genes on the next pool. Also, based on the coincidence thing, like the coincidence that a watch would be found in a field, who's to say that intricate creatures weren't placed here by coincidence? Maybe it just so happened one day all of the stars aligned and intricate creatures were created and put on this earth. So if I had a friend that said within a century scientists will build robots that are conscious, I would totally agree with him, because I think now and in the future, robots can and will be able to comprehend and think. As of right now, we have voice command modules that are able to comprehend what we're saying and use that to pull up like certain information pertaining to what we said. Like if I took my iPhone and I said, "Play song West Coast" by The Neighborhood, to take a minute to load, and eventually it'll start playing. There it goes. It's playing West Coast because I asked it to. In my opinion, that is a form of thinking, because it's processing what we're saying. The fact that robots can think is very important in answering this question, because if a robot can process and interpret its own surroundings, then it can indeed form differing opinions based on those surroundings that could be different from what we humans think. Although at present times we still don't really have a full grasp on the brain and the biology of the brain, I think in the future we will. And as soon as we're able to know how the brain fully works, we'll have the technology to replicate the whole brain. If we can accurately replicate the whole brain, It doesn't matter what kind of material it's made out of, whether it's like synthetic or organic. It'll be able to comprehend anything and make decisions for itself based on the information it's given. Even in present times, I think it's possible for robots to feign having emotion because they can observe human behavior and copy it. So, although as of now robots can only fake emotions, I believe in the not so distant future, robots will be about the same as humans, if not greater, which could pose a threat if they become independent of humans.